we're going to talk about the 10 Commandments today. And so I know this stuff pretty well. 10 Commandments are one of these things that I know I've talked to you guys about this before, but this book right here, Luther's Large Catechism, here's what it looks like now. This is the newer version. I don't like the translation as much in the newer version as I do in the older one. Maybe familiarity. I don't know. But I just don't like. We have Luther's Large Catechism. You also have Luther's Small Catechism. Luther's Small Catechism is great. Let me talk about this book for a little bit. This isn't Luther's Small Catechism. Let me show you what is Luther's Small Catechism.
Yes, in here. This is with commentary.
I think I have it on my tablet.
Let's see. Yeah. Where's it at? You never had Gloria saying she has it in her. She has the Concordia book, and which is it's in there, and I have a couple different versions of that. So this right here, can you see this small amount? That's the Small Catechism. All of this was all done in 1911.
With explanations.
The explanations, and so that's what that is. Luther's Small Catechism, that was done in the 1500s, and it's a quick little explanation of the matters of faith. So you got, a few of the sacraments. Sorry, I had someone texting me. So so in the 1900s, this is very modernist American back here, where it takes, and it's fine, but it takes like some of the stuff that's talked about and takes verses out of context and gives you verses to that. I've used it some if I'm having problems creating a sermon series, and I need verses for the worship service. But yeah, so the front is Luther there. Luther did write all of the Large Catechism, though, which is this guy. And this book, when I read it, is one of the books that really changed my life, where I began to see a freedom that's found in Christianity. Because I don't know what it is about Christianity. I don't know if it's like the Americanness that's around it, but it really seems like we communicate, even though we say the words grace, we usually communicate like you need to comply, and I heard all those like, oh, it's by grace that you've been saved, but don't make Jesus mad. Like that's, and we kind of vacillate between those two things. And Luther really dives head deep into that and shows how great grace is all through this book. Because I think, to go back to what we were talking about a little bit ago, it helps us see how we are all dirty. How we are actually dirty here. So that's kind of what this book does. So who has read the Large Catechism? Has anyone read the Large Catechism?
No.
Parts of it? Yeah. So Gloria says she's read parts of it. Yeah. Okay. So Gloria said she's read most of it. Are you guys familiar with this at all? A little bit. Have you? So I'm just kind of judging.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Mitch says she doesn't.
I don't remember.
It's a great book, and I wish it was taught more in circles. I remember one day I was teaching actually the 10 Commandments, and somebody said, like, I feel like I've been lied to my whole life. with all this stuff. And I was like, it's not that you feel like you've been lied to. Like, it may feel that way, but when you discover new information, like it's a good thing, right? So, and I liken it to like a power socket. Some of you have heard me say this analogy before, but when our kids are little, we tell them they get close to a power outlet. We're like, no, don't touch it, don't touch it. But we expect them to kind of grow out of that, because imagine how weird it would be if someone still treated, if we all treated a power outlet like a 2-year-old has to. We wouldn't get any new electricity in homes. We wouldn't plug in our phones, and that would be awful.
No, so
And we wouldn't be able to plug in anything. But what it is we grow up and we realize the danger is over here, but in amongst that danger is something of considerable value. And I think a lot of times in the churches we just go, oh, that's all bad, right? Like, don't touch it. But I think we should grow up in our faith and continue to see the nuances that are in Scripture, and see the nuances that are in there. And the 10 Commandments and the Large Catechism helped me see that, because it always seemed like when I was growing up, the 10 Commandments were, I should stop talking, but it was always like, all right, you got to obey these things and at least get most of them, at least get most of them. And some of them are easier than others, like the killing one. I haven't killed anybody, like that. That's, that's, all these things. Like I can do all of those. So, but what we'll end up seeing through this is that we actually break them all the time, all of them. So that's kind of what I saw there. So let's talk about the 10 Commandments for a little bit. What are, well, I can frame a question like I framed to the confirmation students to get them to answer it. Is what do your friends think about the 10 Commandments? What do you think about the 10 Commandments? Like what's important about them? What isn't? I'm just trying to kind of gauge where everyone.
yeah, I know him.
Do what?
It's like, yeah, I know him.
You know them?
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You haven't killed anybody lately, have you?
Not yet. He's still here.
So Lee says she knows them. Like yeah, they're there. Yeah, know them basically. That's. But then everyone gets uncomfortable when you go, what's the 5th commandment?
Everybody looked down.
Oh, all right. We're already. So Gloria said, honor your father and mother. What did you guys say?
No, that's the 4th one.
Observe the Sabbath. Observe the Sabbath.
No, that's not that. That's not the 5th one. So
Thou shalt not kill.
here's the thing with the 10 Commandments.
5.
When you read the 10 Commandments, we'll get into that here in a second. We'll read it in a little bit. Actually, we'll do that next. There's a problem. It says, here are the 10 words of God. Here are the 10 words. But when you read it, there's either 9 or 11.
Yeah.
Like that. There's not 10. There's either 9 or 11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's some that are connected and all that stuff. And so because of that, we combine some and we don't. So like a traditional kind of I don't know, kind of American Baptist-y, I don't know, some of those kind of maybe Pentecostal, all that stuff. Their numbering is the first 4 are about your relationship to you and God. In our Lutheran numbering and Catholic and the Protestant denominations, kind of that whole thing, we do the first 3 are your relationship to you and God. And then the last 7 for us and the last 6 are the last 6 are for the kind of that other style. So it's all the same ones. We just have different numberings. So let's see here. So let's actually, let me pull it up.
Deuteronomy,
What?
there's actually 11.
What? There's 11?
Deuteronomy, it says 10, but I'm counting 11.
Yeah, it says 10 exactly. Like it's there's and hence the issue.
You want
And so
a book more?
so we combine the first 2 of your numbering. Don't have any idols and don't have any other gods. The Lutherans combine that,
Okay.
and then we separate the 2 covets at the end into 2. So whereas like the other tradition, do what? Yeah. So that's our 3. So the the covet at the end, we separate that one into 2. Yeah. Yeah. so that's and that's just it goes back from the, it's just an older number. Like that's okay. So in Exodus, yeah. So where was that in Deuteronomy? What is that chapter like?
5.
Yeah, 5, yeah. Yeah, so let me pull that up real quick. So Deuteronomy chapter 5. Deuteronomy chapter 5. Okay. And let me put it up on the screen.
Mark it down a degree.
Oh, you know what I didn't do?
You have to take
All right, so
this.
we'll do Deuteronomy chapter 5 and to verse 22. And so we'll listen to that. Here we go. It's downloading.
And Moses called all Israel and said to them,
Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your hearing today, that you may learn them and be careful to observe them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us in Horeb. The Lord did not make this covenant with our fathers, but with us, those who are here today, all of us who are alive. The Lord talked with you face to face on the mountain from the midst of the fire. I stood between the Lord and you at that time to declare to you the word of the Lord, for you were afraid because of the fire. You did not go up the mountain. He said,
I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who hate me.
So that right there in American classical splitting is the first 2 commandments. In the world classic that's the first one. So that's it's just a difference of numbering.
You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them.
Let me go to the next
For
one. Oh, dang it. Hold on, I messed up. Here we
What
go.
part is that?
You shall
Verse
be showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, you nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there by a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, that your days may be long, and that it may be well with you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. And you shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male servant, his female servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's.
These words the Lord spoke to all your assembly in the mountain from the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the thick darkness, with a loud voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me.
Okay. So you could kind of see, so we split up, when you're looking at the verses there, we combine that first kind of paragraph that's in there. And then we split up verse 21 into 2. Because when you look at it, there's either 9 or 11. Like that's, and so, but he says there's 10. So it's kind of hard to know what to do. So the best thing to do is understand the differences in the numbering, so that when someone does come in thinking differently about the numbering than you do, that doesn't become the battle. You can just switch over to theirs because you're talking about the same stuff. You know, so that's kind of, so it's good to know what the difference is in the numbering there. Let's see here. So the other thing to understand is the first 3 or the first 4, depending on your numbering, are all about your relationship to you and God. You know, don't have any other gods before me. Don't have any graven images. You know, don't take the name of the Lord your God in vain, and remember the Sabbath day. Right. So those all are all your relationship to you and God. Then the rest of them, you know, honor your father and mother, don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery, don't bear false witness, don't lie about your neighbor, and don't covet your neighbor's things, are all about your relationship between you and your neighbor. So the 10 Commandments, we're already seeing this pattern with God and his people. That it's this pattern of love God and love your neighbor. Jesus, when someone asks him, what's the greatest commandment? You know, he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Deuteronomy chapter 6 is what he's quoting there, right after this. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the next one is just like it, love your neighbor as yourself. So we see Jesus using this whole pattern to bring about love of God and love of neighbor. And I think that is a God's people hallmark. And I think we begin to lose the smell of God on us. We'll say that, you know, our God mustiness, when we begin to prioritize one over the other.
Is there a,
So when we begin to forget about love of neighbor. So we see this in Israel when they began to just look after their own power, and they just concentrated on the kings. They want to be like the other nations, right? And also that's important to notice when you look at verse the Sabbath. We shouldn't talk about that right now because it's the Sabbath, and we'll be talking about it next week. We're not going to talk about it long. So it says, observe the Sabbath day, but it's interesting the connection that it makes. It's like, 6 days you'll labor and do not work, but on the seventh day, the Sabbath day, the Lord, give everything a rest. And why? Remember that you were once slaves. So what I think that's saying is that remember where you've been, and that one of the things that they get in trouble with is they begin to enslave people like they were enslaved. They begin to lose love of neighbor. They begin to lose love of neighbor, and they begin to lose that godly smell on them. And then they begin to smell like everyone else. And when you smell like everyone else, then they are just enveloped into them. In Babylon and Assyria takes them over. And so that's, and we also see with the Pharisees that they were very strict in those 10 commandments, but it didn't really seem like love of neighbor played into it too much. So that's kind of that's kind of like an overview there without getting into all of them. I don't know. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions or anything like that?
Anybody remember the blue laws?
Taking Sunday off and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, Kevin. All right, we'll see you. Kevin's leaving.
Baseball had to quit at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, all the blue laws and all that stuff. The car dealers still have a blue law down here, don't they? I can't remember. Can you buy a car down here on Sunday?
They do in Indiana.
Yeah. I can't remember. I'm usually busy on Sunday, so I can't. I have to work on Sunday.
NASCAR in the afternoon.
NASCAR in the afternoons. That's good. It's good holy work, that NASCAR in the afternoons. So a lot of car dealers still have blue laws. Everything else kind of doesn't. And so, but yeah, that's you could probably say that's a legacy of this. I don't know. Does anything else strike you about all of this? And before we go on. All right. First commandment, or Gloria, the first two commandments. That's the small catechism sums it up in one simple phrase, and this is why we kind of combine the first two. It says, "You shall have no other gods." That's why it sums it up. We split up the coveting, but no other gods. So the small catechism says, I don't know if you guys can read that or not, but it says, "You shall have no other gods." And then it says, what does this mean? We should fear, love, and trust in God above all things. What do you think that means? We should fear, love, and trust God above all things.
No, he's in control.
No, he's in control.
Yeah.
What does it mean to have other gods?
Something that you worship.
Something that you worship?
Something you placed at a higher
Yeah,
God
gives more priority.
than God.
Yeah.
right.
And that's what I like about the small catechism here, because it's still kind of cryptic and it's just one sentence, but it's pretty good, that we should fear, love, and trust in God above all things. And I think what he's saying is that anything that we fear, love, and trust is our God. you know?
Okay.
Like that's and so that's and all of a sudden things are like,
Whoa.
oh,
In this,
Very
in
good.
this, it encompasses a whole lot of things.
yeah, like we fear, love, and trust a bunch of things. And that word fear is a difficult word there because I think it's wrapped up more in like fear of the Lord, like a respect of the Lord. But I do think like actual fear, being afraid of something, plays into that too. You know, like being scared over something, because there's a lot of people that are crippled by fear. And because you see a lot of folks that will use legitimate fears people have to gain power from them. You know, like you see that a lot. Sales tactics. Like some people do what?
Politicians.
Yeah, politicians. I was trying not to go straight to politicians because I always
Well, I'm
do.
sorry, but that's right
But
out
like
there in your face
sales
these
tactics.
days.
Like think about every security system commercial you've ever seen. It's always like your wife and daughter are going to be murdered and awful if you don't get this Brinks home security.
And
Right?
if you don't buy it today, it's too
Yeah.
late.
Yeah, like that's like it's you know everybody's terrible. And that's why I think it's helpful to look at the Ten Commandments as loving God and loving your neighbor. Because when you love your neighbor, it takes that fear out of them. Right? Now that's not how Luther used it, is it? But that's how Chris will use it, because I think we really struggle right now in fear of neighbor in our country at this moment. And it's making us act irrationally towards a lot of different things. So here's in the Large Catechism, here is how Luther defines it. It's whatever you give your heart and entrust your being. That, I say, is really your God. Whatever you give your heart and trust in your being. I don't know. So does anyone have any thoughts about that?
Then we're all in trouble.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you know, we got to get the promotion. We got to get the bigger house. I bought a Lexus.
Yeah.
You know, vote for this one because then I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, vote for this one and that'll stop that. And I mean, we're all in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's we all have these different little gods. So Lee was saying that we're all in trouble, like with all this. We all have these little gods that we end up serving, and there's a bunch of people that want us to be subservient under them. Now, remember, all this first 3 or 4, however you want to look at it, is capstoned by that one phrase: remember that you were slaves in Egypt. So to understand the Bible, you have to understand Genesis and Exodus. And if you can understand those two things, the rest of the Bible will kind of click into place a little easier. I think it's still not going to be easy, but it's a little easier. And it's helping us see here. Like it's giving us the picture of God in our relationship with him, with making sure we understand that you were once in bondage and slavery and now you're free. And it's basically saying, don't go back to Egypt. Don't go back to those gods. Don't go back to what you think is comfortable over there. It's not. It's slavery.
I'm sorry.
It's slavery. And that's, and I think that really helps us well, think about that here. Luther then starts picking on certain things. The first one he starts picking on is Mammon. Let's see here. Well, so he's picking on this, and Mammon is like wealth and power. is how he describes it. So I'm going to read like half of a paragraph here. So this is going to be really good quality content, me reading. Here we go. Mammon is the world's favorite idol. One who has money and property, has a sense of security, and feels as happy and fearless as if he were sitting in the middle of paradise. I'll read that again. So Mammon is the world's favorite idol. One who has money and property, has a sense of security, and feels as happy and fearless as if he were sitting in the middle of heaven. Is what paradise means. On the other hand, one who has nothing is as insecure and anxiety ridden as if he never heard of God. Very few can be found who keep a cheerful spirit and neither fret nor complain when they are without mammon, wealth and power. The desire for riches sticks glued to our nature right up to the grave. Like, and that's a hard one right there. Like, that's a hard one. And that one is like embedded into us, right? That's it's like, oh, like if I could get this amount of wealth, whatever that is, if I could get this amount of wealth, I would finally be okay. You know? I'll pick on you retirees for a second. Like, you know, as soon as I retire, I'll be able to not have to work anymore and all that stuff. Like, yeah, like that's, and I'll be fine. Like that's one of the biggest things I've seen while being here, dealing with a bunch of retirees, is when you get some fresh retirees in that they retire and then they don't know what to do with themselves anymore. Their entire identity was their work. And now they have no identity outside of that. It's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly dangerous. And so it's important to have identities outside of just what we do in front of us. And I think some of this is what's telling us, because when we have that identity, then we're like, oh, this is the thing that's going to save me. I'm a good woodworker. You know, so when I create good things, then that will be what saves me. You know, I'm a good salesman. I'm a good this. I'm a good that. And that's not your identity. It may be what you do, and you may be good at that, and you're able to bless the creation, God's creation, with it. But it's not who you are. Who you are is you're created in the likeness of God. So, and that's struggle. Listen, I struggle with that too. Like I'm a slightly manic preacher, all that stuff, and I try to be as engaging as I can and stuff like that. And this is how my fears play out. I know I'm creative. I know I think outside the box. You know, that's one of my things I know that I'm a strong suit on. I also know that I'm probably undiagnosed ADD. And I'm scared to death to go somewhere to get a diagnosis and maybe get something to help with that, because will that impact my creativity?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but God made you that way, so just accept it.
Yeah. So, but you can see, like this is something that I know that I struggle with, right? And I haven't worried about it as much here, but I knew it was impacting me in my previous call. And so it's
Just
and
accept that you're a type A.
I'm type A. Like that's so, but yeah, like that's one of the things that I know about myself, that I may not want to get better because I'm worried that it'll take something else away from me. It'll take my God of creativity away. You know? So yeah, I think we all kind of struggle with this. because I take great pride in being able to be creative. I think it's just what I take pride in. So, and I'm in a field where I'm able to get power from that. You know, I think you can see that in how I've been serving the church both here and in our district I'm one of the guys that people call when they need help with the tech stuff and thinking outside the box and how to do this style of ministry. You know, I take pride in that. And it's good. It's good. I'm helping, but it's clawing in on being an ultimate thing. And that's the struggle. This is all nuanced. It's all nuanced. It can be good things, right? I think we've seen that a lot of times where you have someone create a good ministry where they're actually helping people, but then it kind of becomes the ultimate thing. And the purpose stops being helping people and becomes just to make the ministry bigger. Right? And then usually scandals come from that, like all that stuff. I don't think you have to get too far into the realm of TV preacher to discover that story has played out over and over and over again. Right? Like that's.
You don't have your private jet yet, so you're okay.
Listen, we're working on it. We need you to give more. We need you to give more.
Is that what those electric cars are?
Maybe. But that's kind of what we're dealing with here. And I think wealth and power, or mammon, as we give here, is kind of the biggest one. Like that's the one where we do that. I think that one dictates our voting habits. I think that dictates our professional habits. I think it dictates a lot of things. It's like, all right, well, how can I have more influence in the world today? And we bow down and we worship that thing.
Isn't that what we teach our children?
What do you mean?
Well, don't we tell them study in school so you can get into the best college? So
Yeah.
that you will have the best resume to get the best job. And you're only a VP? Well, you're working to the presidency, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, it's a rat maze. It's never enough. There's always got to, you have a house. It's 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. Now you
Yeah.
got to get a 3-bedroom with 2 bathrooms. Then you got to get this and you got to get that. And when does it stop?
Yeah. When does it stop? That's the thing. And I think, and are you succeeding just for succeeding? Because I think that is kind of what the struggle often is are you succeeding just to succeed? What I mean by that is, like you said, like study well, and then you can go to the good college. It's not we don't turn it into study well so that you can bless the creation more with more knowledge. It's all this study well so that you can succeed.
Get something.
And we could see that. And I think you've picked up on that, Lee. You could see that because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, why aren't people going into the trades anymore? Well, they are, but that's not part of like the success pattern. I mean, look at kids' sports and the pressure that is put on kids' sports to be successful, not because it's fun, but because maybe they can get a scholarship. We've put all these other gods ahead of like the one true God type of thing. And it's all these little things. It's the success and power that if I give it all to this, then I'll finally be able to see salvation in this other thing. Are we talking about this in the sermon? I can't remember right now. I'll mention it anyway. Football, college football right now. Think about what's going on with college football right now. So what did Big Ten pull out? Is that what happened? I don't care about college football.
Yes.
I don't like to watch people actively do things to destroy their minds in the future. So I'm not a big fan of football. I haven't been for years.
Right, Bill.
So college football, Big Ten pulled out, and now did you see what the players are doing now? They're like, we want to play football at all costs, and so they're applying now to go to SEC schools so that they can play football. Now, why do they want to play football? They know if they
Because it's their identity.
They want to go into the pros, and that's their last chance. To get
that's it. And they're worried that if they take a year off, they're basically writing off their ability to shine in front of people to get up to the pros. I mean, they've been told their entire life, like work. And they're like, you're expecting me not to do this now? Like that's, and also they've honed their bodies to such an extent that their only hope is to go pro. They don't get any money in college. I mean, we just give the colleges untold riches off the backs of young men. I'm not a big fan of the NCAA. That's modern day slavery. But you look at that, and it's and that's what's going on. That's what's going on. And yeah, so that's at least that's my view of it. I could be wrong.
So how do we meet that middle point? How do we teach our children to embrace their God-given talents and use their God-given talents? But that fine line is so hard.
Yeah, it is. It is. Because you want them to be successful. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Now I want them to be happy.
Yeah. Like that's you want them to be happy. You want them to be there. And I think the best way we can do that is for us to allow ourselves to live in freedom. That many times we put that success moniker onto ourselves, where I have to live up to this, standard or something like that. And I think us living in freedom is that. And if they're playing football, play football, have a fun time with it. Practice, become good at it, just like doing your studies and all of that. But like if something happens where it doesn't happen, it's like, oh well, that was fun. I made good friends in it, and I was able to entertain people and have a good time there. So like that, and that can be how anything is done. And that's something easy to pick on that thing. But I think we end up creating these idols out of this. And to continue talking about our wealth and power, I think it's really interesting when Moses comes down the mountain with the 10 Commandments, and he sees Aaron and all the children of Israel have crafted a golden calf. And I think it's often overlooked because like wealth and power is one of our big gods in this country. We often overlook what they built the calf out of. They built the calf out of their gold. They gave their wealth and power to this God and said, this is the God that takes that up. I think it's a much more indicting critique over facing wealth and power to there, where we give our wealth and power to many things. And we go into politics, look at lobbying, that's what it is. Lobbying the U.S. is giving our wealth and power. It's why I cannot stand that the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod has a lobbying group in Washington. Like it makes my skin crawl whenever I think about it, because it's just getting in bed with Babylon in my mind. It's going back to Egypt and paying homage to the people that would take away our freedom. And so that's kind of So I think we go after this power so often. I don't know. Does anyone have any other thoughts? We're kind of out of time now. Before I need to wrap it up, though. All right, but go ahead.
With the sports, is that in cases that we see, the parents are pushing the kids to do something they didn't accomplish,
I think that's it.
or they wanted to accomplish.
I think that's part of it. And how over programmed kids are right now.
Yeah.
Like it's constant. It's just constant, like boom, 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 boom. I mean, you guys see that, I'm sure, with your grandkids, because you guys are there and you're around it. And, and I don't know what your guys' family dynamic is. Your kids may not do that. It's not everybody, but it's definitely a sense that we see where the parents are, and I think it goes back to what Lee said. It's like doing it for success reasons, rather than what I think sports really are. Like, it's fun. You could train your body to be better coordinated. You can learn to be a good team player. These are all good skills, These are good skills, and it's entertaining for the people watching. But like when all that then becomes like, this is where I'm going to discover like everything of who I am. This is how I'm going to get power. Like, then you're like, it stops being the service, and you're expecting it to serve you then. And I think a lot of parents do put that onto their kids, and trying to expect that. So the first commandment here, and this is why I kind of like the Lutheran numbering. The first commandment here is the one commandment to rule them all. We all the other commandments, when we break them, we're also breaking the first commandment. Because when as you will see, when we kill someone, we're acting as God over them. When we aren't honoring our father and mother, we're acting as God over them. When we're coveting our neighbor's things, we're acting as God over them. So when we break the rest of the commandments, we are actually breaking this first one as well. It's like Lord of the Rings. It's the one commandment to rule them all. So that's and this is what the commandments show me. It shows me the commandments are like a mirror where we look in and we can see ourselves, and it shows us how much we need Jesus. It shows how much I need Jesus, because I may have tried, when I looked at the Ten Commandments before, it's like, oh, I was guilty of this one, I was guilty of this one, but I got that one over there, I got that one over there, and we try to justify ourselves, and we try to put the Ten Commandments onto other people. But when we look at ourselves, we see it points right at us, and we're like, yeah, I'm failing that one pretty bad. But Jesus says that he has saved us. And I think the Ten Commandments show us why we need Jesus so much and how he's saving us. And that those redemptive tones that come from the Ten Commandments written down in the Old Testament show us the redemptive nature of God all through the Bible. So yeah, that's kind of the first commandment for right now as we go through. Commandments are kind of one of my favorite things. And I like it so much that the sermon series is probably going to be garbage because of it. Because I'm like, I like it too much. So I'll probably under-prepare like I did today.
That gives us Sunday morning off then, huh?
Yeah, sure. Now you got to watch it. Then you got to log in with a different thing and watch it on another one. But I don't know. Does anyone have any last things? We're over time. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming, everyone. We'll have a little blessing here. May God bless and keep all of you, that you could continue to look at his scriptures with fresh eyes and see how God is working through his people throughout all time, and that includes us. Have peace in his name. Amen.
Amen.
Have a good week, everybody.
See you guys all next week.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Thanks for coming. All right. Bye.